Tens of thousands of fans have voted on which movie is the best ever. The Dark Knight, Forrest Gump, Toy Story, and more compete for the top spot. When it comes to discussing something as continuous as which movie is the best of all time, it's always interesting to see the fans' perspective. Tens of thousands of cinephiles have placed their vote over on Ranker to determine which movie is the greatest ever. From science fiction and horror to action and animation, the movies in the top 10 represent a myriad of genres, proving that fans can appreciate a great film regardless of its stylistic classification. Starring in 5 of the top 6 movies, it's no surprise that actor Tom Hanks is one of the most respected performers of his generation. Number 1. Forrest Gump. Forrest Gump features Tom Hanks and Robin Wright as Alabamians Forrest Gump and Jenny Curran. While waiting at a bus stop in 1981, Forrest recounts the defining moments of life since his childhood in the 1950s, including his interactions with his childhood crush Jenny. Watching Gump charmingly stumble his way to meteoric personal success throughout many of the critical crossroads in recent American history is a joy, and the movie switches between being uproariously funny and genuinely dramatic with a flawless balance. Hanks' honest portrayal of the sincere, sweet simpleton Gump earned him an Oscar win for his performance, and Wright's fearlessly vulnerable representation of Jenny is an all-encompassing showcase of the actress's outstanding talent. Number 2. The Shawshank Redemption. Shawshank Redemption, Andy, Tim Robbins, Red, Morgan Freeman. The Shawshank Redemption features Tim Robbins and Morgan Freeman as fellow Shawshank State penitentiary prisoners Andy DeFruns and Ellis Redding. After being sent to prison for a crime that he insists he didn't commit, DeFresno befriends the smuggler Redding and endeavors to break out. Based on a Stephen King novella, his strong narrative groundwork is brought to its fullest potential on the big screen. Robin's subdued stoicism and Freeman's sardonic resignation in response to their characters' circumstances draw audiences into the surprisingly emotional affair. DeFriz's journeys of redemption just make it viewer out of their seats and cheering, as The Shawshank Redemption has many things that still hold up today. Number 3. Saving Private Ryan. Saving Private Ryan features Tom Hanks and Matt Damon as Army Rangers Captain John H. Miller and paratrooper Private First Class James Francis Ryan. After Ryan's 3 brothers are killed in action during World War II, Miller is ordered to find him from within Nazi-occupied France, allowing him to safely return to his family in America. Winning 5 of its 11 Oscar nominations, this war film was so realistic that the Veterans Department of Affairs created a hotline for veterans who experienced emotional trauma as a result of the movie. Against the backdrop of a young man sacrificing their lives on the beaches of Normandy, grander philosophical questions of sacrifice, fulfillment, and mercy are explored. Number 4. The Turning. Henry James' classic 1898 novella, The Town of the Screw, had perhaps its biggest year ever in 2020. It is the basis for Netflix horror series The Haunting of Bly Manor, as well as Floria Sigmondi's theatrical film The Turning. But while Bly Manor received a positive reaction from critics and a decent one from audiences, The Turning was not nearly as successful and garnered itself as a meager 12% in the tomato meter. The Turning introduces Kate Mandel, Mackenzie Davis, who takes a governess job at the Fairchild estate to take care of the 2 kids, Miles, Finn Wolford, and Flora Brooklyn Prince after the death of their parents. Mysterious events soon begin unfolding, and Kate must discover the dark secrets of the estate's past. The Chicago Reader acknowledged the film's potential along with its talented cast and director, but concluded that a bevy of off-screen characters that only serve to complicate an already meandering plot and a sorely muddled ending robs it of its full potential. Further, the plot was laced with overdone horror tropes, jump scares, dream sequences, but did nothing to make them feel fresh or worthwhile. The New York Times declared that this repetitive goozing resulted in a film that was humorless and scare-free. But before we continue with the top 10 must-see movies, subscribe to our channel Curious Atmosphere that you don't miss any future updates. At number 5, Catch Me If You Can. Frank in pilot uniform with flight attendants. Catch Me If You Can features Leonardo DiCaprio and Tom Hanks as teenage con artist Frank Abagnale and FBI agent Carl Henratty. After running away from home following his parents' divorce, Abagnale forges fake checks and new identities, alerting the attention of the seasoned agent Henratty. Based on the semi-autobiographical book of the same name, the historical accuracy of the events depicted in the film has been disputed. Nevertheless, the movie is a terrifically entertaining use of one's time. DiCaprio and Hanks form an incredible on-screen duo whose few scenes together are true standouts, even among the rest of the Steven Spielberg modern-day classic. At number 6, The Dark Knight. The Dark Knight features Christian Bale and Heath Ledger as the Caped Crusader Batman and the Clown Prince of Crime, the Joker. While trying to rid Gotham City of organized criminals, Batman must also contend with the chaotically malevolent Joker, who endeavors to demonstrate that people of Gotham are just as cruel as himself. As the highest-grossing film of 2008, it was instantly recognized as a must-see action blockbuster and one of the best superhero movies ever made. Fantastic set pieces, performances, and production raised the standard for superhero movies in the years to follow, and many of the most memorable lines from the Dark Knight trilogy have made their way into the public's lexicon as a result. A standout in the film is Ledger's Joker, who possesses inexplicable meanness, intelligence, and charisma that made the villain even more popular than ever. At number 7, The Silence of the Lambs. The Silence of the Lambs features Jodie Foster and Anthony Hopkins as FBI trainee Clarice Starling and cannibalistic serial killer Dr. Hannibal Lecter. While hunting a merciless murderer, Agent Starling is directed to enlist the advice of Dr. Lecter, a brilliant former psychiatrist who's been imprisoned for his crimes, becoming only the third film in history to win Oscars for Best Picture, Director, Screenplay, Actor, and Actress. This suspenseful thriller is masterfully crafted from beginning to the end. The film's utilization of intense point-of-view close-ups brings viewers closer to the brooding maliciousness exhibited by the two antagonists. The film expertly creates an atmosphere of dread and tension as Clarice meticulously tracks down a killer with the help of a criminal who is just as worse. At number 8, The Lord of the Rings, The Fellowship of the Rings, The Two Towers, The Return of the King. Peter Jackson's hugely popular fantasy trilogy kicked off with The Fellowship of the Rings. J.R.R. Tolkien's books were brought to life as fans were transported to Middle-earth, where Frodo Baggins and a band of heroes set out to destroy the powerful One Ring before Sauron can use it for evil. The film wonderfully introduces this beautiful world and its characters. The simple yet thrilling quest is filled with fun, terror, and action. It's not hard to see why fans were immediately drawn to this franchise. Seeing as The Two Towers is the lowest rated movie in Peter Jackson's Lord of the Rings trilogy, it's quite apparent that this series is beloved. The second film saw the Fellowship divided as they attempted to defeat Sauron's forces of evil. The film is another grand fantasy epic with two standout elements. The first being the proper introduction of the character Gollum, and the second being in the massive and thrilling battle sequence in the third act. Few people thought of adapting J.R.R. Tolkien's epic Lord of the Rings series for the big screen would be impossible, but Peter Jackson proved them all wrong. With The Return of the King, Jackson managed to conclude one of the greatest film trilogies of all time in a truly satisfying way. The film brings the quest to destroy the One Ring to a big end. While the film gets ridiculed for dragging out its finale, Jackson and his team did a beautiful job bringing it all to a close in this emotional spectacle that features some truly amazing battle sequences. Number 9. Schindlers List. It's no surprise to see Steven Spielberg's name appear on the list of the top-rated films of all time. Given his penchant for creating beloved films, there were a number that could conceivably be in the top 10. However, it is the most difficult movie to watch which ranks the highest, which is appropriate as it is one of his finest jobs as a director. Schindler's List is a harrowing story of the real-life tale of Oskar Schindler and his attempts to save Jewish citizens during the Nazi rule in Germany. While Schindler may be an inspiring hero, the film is most effective as a horrific depiction of the Holocaust. Shot in haunting black and white, Spielberg created a film that will last in the minds of viewers for years to come. Finally, at number 10, 12 Angry Men. While most of the films on this list are giant epics, 12 Angry Men is by comparison much smaller. However, that does nothing to lessen its impact. The film is set almost entirely inside a juror's room as a 12-man debate a murder case they have just overseen. With one voice insisting the accused is innocent, the film details a life or death debate which ensues. While the settling minds seem dull, it only helps to give the movie a sense of intensity. The filmmaking brilliantly makes a room seem more and more confined as the debate rages on. The claustrophobic feel adds to the atmosphere of it all. It's stunning proof that small-scale films can pack a big punch. Based on what we think is worthy, if you have more movies, feel free to share them with us. Share them in the comments below and wait for our interesting topics coming soon. If you think they deserve to be on the list, share your opinion in the comments below.